Hello, welcome to Empower and Ignite Transformation Podcast with Alicia and Nicole. How are you, Alicia?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. Thank you for asking. I am
Okay.
doing just well.
I love your hair.
Thank you. Oh my
Thank you.
gosh, thanks. So I'm excited about this topic today, right? Of course, everybody knows I'm always excited about our topics. If you are new to our channel, please share, like, and subscribe, right? We want to make sure that people are becoming aware and know that this channel is available for them. So we would like it if you are new to subscribe, but if you have been a subscriber, please share, like. Thank you. So listen, when I think about this topic, I am like, this is so important to talk about because I hear people say, I don't need any friends, right? Or I might hear when someone is like frustrated or upset with their loved ones or even had a disagreement, um,
Mhm.
I'll just be by myself.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I just think that the importance of relationships and not isolating yourself is really a topic that needs to be discussed.
Yeah, I think that that's so really important, right? Because like you said, during my time, it's no new friends, right? And it's like, well, why? Why no new friends? Like new friends could be great. You could learn a lot from people, right? You can build off of people. There's good things in our old friend. We're not saying we want to replace them, but there's good things in new people. Why not? You never know who you can meet. So yeah, I think that this is a big topic, especially now because coming off of COVID, it seems like the isolation in the sense of people keeping to themselves, becoming introverts, things like that is just happening, right? People just want to kind of just be alone, and it's like, but human connection can be beautiful for sure.
Yeah. So that definitely, right? When you said so 2 points, right? So people saying, I don't want any new friends, right? Is that more so you think because they don't trust people? Or is it because they just feel like they have enough friends and they don't need any more? Where do you think that's coming from?
I think it's trust. I think it's the lack of trust, building those connections. People kind of go with the I've known this person the longest, so I trust them. They're my greatest friend, and I don't need no other. Right. But just because, I knew them the longest doesn't mean they share the same interests. Doesn't mean that, our path is still going the exact same way either. That doesn't mean I have to replace them. That doesn't mean that they have to go away. It just means I might develop more. But I do believe that it comes from the lack of trust. I think it comes from the fear. And you know what fear does? It keep us just stuck where we are. The fear of, if I get a new friend, would this friend be mad? Or even if I get a new friend, would I have time for this other friend? Because, we're adults and life be life. And,
Right.
or the other friend feeling left out because now you're with your new friend and I don't walk that path. So it's just all types of reasons that it could literally come back to. But I definitely think it comes back from fear for sure. And then also trust.
Okay. Okay. And so I definitely can hear or even think about when you say it comes from the lack of trusting new people. And so they are comfortable with who they know, right? And so the unknown could be scary for some people. So I understand why or how that could possibly be. But then of course we know that initially when you meet someone, we're not saying that you would just go all in and share all of your whole life with someone. It takes time to build a relationship. So in building the relationship, that's how you will build the trust but I think that it's so important that people know you can meet new people later in life. It doesn't, when you said, okay, so maybe the other friend might be upset because you got a new friend. I'm hoping that the maturity of people would be where someone would be open to you having more than just them as your friend. That would be kind of silly, right?
Mhm.
But I do understand sometimes people do feel like, okay, I don't want somebody to take my friend, but that's not them taking them from you. It
Mhm.
just really is, if that is something that someone is challenged with or need to deal with, then they got to do their work, right?
Mhm.
Where
Yeah.
is that really coming from? And then too, it really is where you can become so comfortable with people that you know that you stay stagnant in thinking that everything, because your environment, that's your environment, that's what you know. So you likely have a lot of compatibility. And so that can hinder you because you're not open to new perspectives, ideas from other people. And so often friends will kind of have the same thought process or will agree with a lot of things. And you just really don't want to close yourself off to not growing and exploring and meeting new people.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely that. But then also, I was thinking about how when people decide to isolate, what that really does, right? So, isolation is not healthy for anyone.
Right.
Humans are not meant to be alone. I don't know what you told yourself if you are one of those people. But it's not where humans are meant to be alone. We were not created to be by ourselves. It's not healthy, right? So, it really is where I am hoping from this conversation, people know that isolation is really not healthy and it can cause you to become sad and even lead to depression, right? So it really is whether you're challenged with introducing yourself, meeting new people, or just putting yourself out there because of some things you want to or need to deal with, right? Because sometimes people are afraid. So we're not dismissing people's fears, right? Some people think that they could be rejected. And some people take that as, I don't want to be rejected, so I'm just not going to try.
Right. Right.
I've heard people say, well, I'm weird. And then I challenge that
Mhm.
because I'm like, well, what does that really mean? What do you mean you're weird?
Yeah.
I'm different. Okay, what does that mean?
There's other people out in the world who would identify the same, right? Weird and different, and maybe y'all can find each other if you put yourself out there.
Yeah,
But
but
that's
why
like
would you be the same as someone else, right? So what makes you different? And if you are different, then that means you're unique. You are your unique self,
yeah,
authentically you. And
yeah.
so who said something was wrong with you being who you are? Like let's challenge
Yeah,
that
and
thought.
when you look back, I'm pretty sure weird, different, I'm unique, I'm something like if someone put those in a sense of negative, right? In that
Mhm.
term of a negative, because you are different, maybe you like something they don't like. That is because you haven't found your friend, right? Your group, the
Yeah.
people who understand who you are. We're
Mhm.
not sitting here saying like everyone is gonna like what you like. No, that's not gonna be a
Right.
true factor, right? And so that's why we say it's okay to open your horizons to new friends because, just because you may like this and be all up into it and the other person don't understand it and now calling you weird, well, maybe it's
Mhm.
time for you to move to someone who understands you, who can understand why you like this and,
Right.
things of that nature and just be okay with they just don't have an interest in it. And so
Right.
my new friends can be important. But I do think, like you said, it's that fear of, getting hurt. No one wants to open up to a new friend and the friend betray them
Mhm.
or the friend tell their business, lack of trust, steal from them, anything. Everyone have that fear of, I let someone in and I can get hurt. And I think it's one of those things that we can't live in that that area of fear, right? Where we just don't let no one get close, even in relationships. Relationships, same difference. You let them in, you could possibly get hurt. It could go great and it could go bad.
Yeah. That's a
And even,
possibility.
yeah, and even if it goes great, unfortunately, We know the life cycle, and one of us have to pass away. So, any way it go, we're going to experience hurt, and we can't protect ourselves from the hurt. We can't just, isolate, stay to ourselves because it's easier than putting ourselves out there.
Definitely that. I think that you made a good point when you said, hey, someone could likely pass away. So the reality of it is if you only have one or two friends, and I'm not saying that that's not okay. I'm just saying if you are only allowing yourself to have these one or two friends and something happens to a friend where you no longer have that friend, and they don't have to pass in the sense of deceased, but they could also no longer want to be your friend. You guys could have a falling out, right? Something could happen where you're not as close as you used to be. So then now you're like, I don't have my person anymore. And so that pr brings about grief, but also loneliness, right? And then you're not open to meeting someone. So then kind of the isolation of, okay, so I had the one or two friends, and so now I don't have that anymore. So now I'm not going to try and put myself out there. That's
Mhm.
why I think it's so important for people to, not that you are collecting friends, not that you're necessarily like, let me, gather up 10 of them so I'll
Yeah.
have them, because it doesn't work that way either, right? And everybody may not be a friend in a sense of a best friend or my really close friend, right? But it can be where this is my girlfriend, this is my homeboy. We're really good friends or we're casual friends, but I don't just have one or two people that I can call on or be with, because if something was to happen, then I don't have anyone. And so
Mhm.
you just don't want to close yourself off. You want to be open to meeting people. You never know how a relationship can be nourished and flourish from you cultivating it.
Mm.
You can be someone that's older in life and meet someone and really realize, oh, wow, we really hit it off. We
Mhm.
had so much in common. I really enjoyed talking to that person. And so then it just clicked and you connect.
Yeah, definitely. And that is what it should feel like, right? Just like a relationship, it should click and connect. We're not saying go out there and force friendships just because they like, yoga and I'm into yoga. So now we just should be friends and I don't really like who you are and what you stand for. I'm not saying go do that, right? But you find that connection with people when you have that click and it clicks and it feels good. And it's like, oh wow, I like her. I can see building a friendship with her, or vice versa. If it's a relationship, it does the same thing. You go on a date, or y'all out and about and he flirting and he doing whatever, and you like, wow, I like him. Yeah, you can have my number. Like, it clicks, and that click is what you're looking for in friendship. And so, I always hear the idea of, I don't have time for friends. Where do I go and meet friends?
Okay.
There's so many ways, right? As adults, we have to put the effort out there. We're
Right.
not forced to be with our peers, such as kids in elementary, middle, and high school or college. No,
Okay.
we're not forced to be with our peers who have like-mindedness, who, going to college, so they're looking for some type of career, or they're in
Right.
high school, they're looking for a diploma, or their mom making them go to middle school. We don't have that when we come to an adult. We have just work. And sometimes work, maybe it's not the place we want to have friends.
Mhm.
Maybe we just can't meet or haven't met anyone that we click with. So again, we have to put ourselves out there and make an effort to find friends. That's where it goes back to our hobbies. Do our hobbies, can we meet someone there? Do we put ourselves out there to try to meet someone? We have, social media groups where they have all types of groups. They got mom groups, they got, groups for military women, groups for single moms. Like, they just have every type of group, and groups for traveling women, solo traveling women. If you just want to
Right.
travel by yourself, they all traveling solo by themselves and meeting other women. They have so many different ways that you could put yourself out there to find your person, in a sense of a new friend, more friends, and
Mhm.
just enjoy life. Because even if, let's just say your friend's just busy. Your friend's life is lifing. You know,
Right.
it ain't for me to be like, I know that you struggling, but it's my birthday and you need to come and pay. Or I'm gonna sit and not do anything for my birthday because my friend, unfortunately, the one or two friends that I have can't find a sitter or don't have the funds. No, you have a variety of friends. You open
Right.
yourself out there because you just never know. And again, I love feedback, right? And
Mhm.
so when I talk to one friend, the advice that she will give to the advice that another friend will give is wow, right? Big difference.
Yeah.
And having a group of friends, if you want to talk, right? You
Mhm.
want to bounce career. What do you think about me doing this? Or what do you think about, you're going to get more feedback versus, okay, I knew her since kindergarten all the way up to, now, and she knows me, right? So she know everything about me. So I could say, what do you think about me being an astronaut? And she's like, you afraid of heights. Like she's not going to ask leading questions such as, what make you think this or why do you get into it? But a new friend may, right? A new friend who also is interested in astronaut, she may be like, this is a great thing. So you just never really know in a sense of just
Yeah.
putting yourself out there, talking to people and just learning you.
Yeah. So I'm hearing you say, listen, friends will offer different things. And
Mhm.
so you may have one friend that, hey, if I'm down, I'm calling this one because this one gonna make me laugh, right?
Right,
If I need some career advice or I might be wanting to make a decision about something, this one is gonna work with me through it and be that support, right? Everyone serves a purpose in your life. It should
right,
serve a purpose. And so also you would likely be reciprocating what your purpose is for them in their life. It won't be the same necessarily, but everybody serves a purpose in a person's life. And so that's the variety of friendships, right? That's the importance of having the different friends because you're not getting the same friendship from each person. Um,
mm-mm,
so that's important for people to know. It also is where, just going back to when you choose to isolate, you're thinking solely from your own views and perspectives. You don't have a sounding board. You're like, I'm by myself in this.
yeah,
And so that can be lonely.
mhm,
And that also, in that loneliness, right? Going back to the emotion of sadness, because sometimes people will say, I don't have anybody. And so I'm alone and because of that, I'm sad. And
right,
even sometimes because of that, I'm depressed.
mhm,
Um, I challenge people to be open to meeting people. And I know it requires you to be vulnerable. And so
right,
when people become afraid of being vulnerable because they're like, hey, anything can happen. Like you said earlier, like, yes, that is true. We're not dismissing that you can be hurt in relationships,
right,
right?
right,
Um, but that is a hopefully um a risk you're willing to take
mhm,
to be able to cultivate relationships and have relationships. Now,
yeah,
we want you to have discernment, of course, um, because people show you who they are. Now, whether you choose to dismiss it is a whole nother topic.
correct,
But people will show you who they are. People can only present with a mask for so long.
mhm,
So I'm not saying just, meet a person and you just go all in and you done told the whole life story and they know
right,
all of your business to that extent where they can hurt you. But I'm saying that it's okay to cultivate new relationships and take your time with it. And
right,
you would become vulnerable if you're being authentic, you would.
mhm,
And you don't have control over whether or not the outcome would be favorable or if it won't, you have control over you, that's so key. Your response and reaction. You don't have control over another person and what they choose to do. But when you see someone do something that you don't like, you don't dismiss it. You address it head on.
Mhm.
And so then, and you decide. That's the piece of you having control over your response or reaction, because you get to decide if that was a deal breaker for you
Right.
and you're not trying to mend or explain, like, okay. And I think that you, even though when I say explain, I'm not saying like you won't say, hey, that's not okay with me. And that just really severed our relationship. Because
Mm,
sometimes it just is that. Sometimes it's no coming back from certain things, but you have
mhm.
to know for you what that is. And it's okay for you to tell a person that.
Yes, definitely. And I think that that's the important part, right? And so here it goes. We are afraid of getting hurt, but that's a part of life. So even when you say in a sense of, we're gonna learn, right? We will learn after we get hurt by a friend once, twice, we will learn how to even pick our friends more wisely, even in the sense of relationships, right? We have learned. We might have tried, this is not my type. Ooh, I don't like mama boys. Ooh, this ain't working. Like you might have put yourself in a sense out there to try different ones. Friendships is going to be the same thing. But each time you get hurt, we learn from the hurt. We grow also in that, in a sense of understanding, okay, I was not looking for the signs of, you know, she was going to be, a crazy friend telling me I can't have no other friends. I wasn't looking for that sign, right? But now going forward, if friend kind of mentioned this, I'm going to nip it in the butt right there because I have learned from that past friend that I don't like this, this don't work for me. And so now going forward, I know what type of friend I want. I know what I'm looking for because I have tried different things, different friends, I'm gonna call them things, different friends and personalities. And I have learned what I kind of like. But I
Yeah.
think it's also really important to point out that being alone isn't a bad thing. We're not sitting here saying you got to go have friends because you don't want to be by yourself because loneliness is a bad thing. No, being alone could be good until it becomes loneliness, right?
Yeah.
Like that is the
Oh,
bad.
time alone is okay. Yeah, definitely that's
Mhm.
not dismissing that, right? So I hope that nobody took that as you shouldn't ever be alone. Like everybody needs their own time, right? So
Yeah,
you need time to yourself. But if you're choosing to isolate,
right. And
yeah,
there's a difference between the healthy solitude
yeah.
versus harmful isolation, in
Mhm.
a sense of just I'm staying to myself because I'm sad and I don't, want to put myself out there, or I don't want to, I'm lonely and I want friends, but I'm not going out there, and now it's creating depression, it's
Right.
creating other issues. But then there's also, like you said, like the healthy ways of being alone is like, I want to be alone so I can read.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
want to pray and
Right.
meditate.
I want to regroup. I want to be able to just take time for me, without having a conversation with someone or
Yeah.
going somewhere or doing something. People often too sometimes may deal with social anxiety, right? And
Mhm.
so we're not dismissing that either, right? That
Mhm.
exists. But because um it really is where a person will need to identify if they are challenged in certain areas, that do they need to seek therapy,
Right.
so that they can work through what is preventing them from building relationships, if that's what they want. So
Right.
definitely, I'm glad you said that because I don't want someone to feel like if they hear this episode that we're saying forcing friendships or saying like you got to go out there and just find, so many friends, but we're saying like isolation isn't healthy. We know that. And we know humans aren't meant to be
Mhm.
alone. And we know the importance of having friendships and how that helps. It's a benefit. It's healthy when you have healthy relationships and being able to decipher and choose what that looks like for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Because it's, are we recharging by being alone, or are we hiding from something? Are we avoiding something? Family, invitations is going out. Are we avoiding human connection? How do that make us feel? Do we feel the idea of loneliness, right? It's a difference in I just want to be alone because it feels good. And if it feels good, I mean, it feels good, but it is to a point of, you know, even the most, introverted person, in a sense of I can't put myself out there, can still find another person who is stuck just like them, in a sense of, don't want to put themselves and be out in that sense. They're introverted as well. And they could be fine with sitting in a room and just not communicating. But
Right.
we're it's
Oh, go ahead.
it's just the connection, just finding your connection, and that's the important part.
Definitely. And when you said, because I didn't mean to cut you off, but when you
Mhm.
spoke on the introvert, right? So because that's to a degree, right? Because it could be like on, because some people are introverted to the extent, like you said, where they really are like, listen, I don't have to deal with anybody or don't want to, right? I just don't have the capacity. But then there is, because I know at times I can be an introvert. I likely will say I am an ambivert, where is introvert as well as extrovert. But I I'm not a social butterfly. So when I say that I can be an introvert because I like my solitude. I enjoy being by myself.
Mhm.
But I also like authentic relationships.
Yeah.
So when you see someone, whether it's in a work environment or just out and about, and they are the social people to the extent of like the socialites, the social butterflies, they're like all of like they need it. That's their thing.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't like all the fluff and
Mhm.
I don't just talk the talk. Like it has to be really where it's something like, and that's the thing, like for me, it's genuine, it's authentic, and that's when I'm more open. But if it's just like surface and just like not of substance and it's like really just fake,
Yeah.
no,
I know.
I don't entertain it. I'm
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
no,
Mhm.
I don't want to be a part of that. So and so to say sometimes it's nothing wrong, of course, with, your personality trait if you are an introvert.
Mhm.
Um, but if it is hindering you in some way, if it's impacting your well-being, then that's something you need to do some work on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I heard you say is this knowing your social battery, right? In the sense of how long, or who am I, in the sense of, do I recharge around others? Because some people recharge alone. Some people will be like, "Ooh, I went out, I was with people for about 2 hours, now I need to go home and recharge." When other people like, "I went out for 4 hours, it was great. I'm so recharged. I'm
Right.
ready to accomplish the world again," right? And both, ain't nothing wrong with either,
Right.
right? Both are okay. It's just knowing your limit. And
Mhm.
it's knowing, if you are, like you said, an introverted person, maybe you might go to one social event, right? That week. You might not go to the each one all weekend like everyone else, right? And that's okay. And so, but you want to make sure your social battery, when to pull back. Am I recharging myself, or, am I isolating myself?
Right.
So you want to know where you going with this.
Definitely. And the importance is, and I hope the takeaway for those that are listening is that really friends are a benefit.
Hmm.
And it's important not to isolate. And you can meet friends later in life.
You can.
Friends serve purposes for different things.
Yes.
They're not all the same. Um, and if you are challenged with putting yourself out there for whatever reason, you can
Hmm.
always, definitely do your work so
Yeah.
you can.
Yeah, definitely. And if you don't know where to start, like you said, you can always do your work and start with therapy and start wondering, about the social anxiety or, the feeling of loneliness. Where is it coming from, stemming from, right? And then it's also, where do you start in a sense of maybe you start with meeting people in an activity or a hobby or an organization or anywhere where you can find someone that you have something in common that clicks, that's more than just the idea of it's a human connection. She likes me, so I'm gonna be her friend. No, we have a likeness for each other, right? That is going to be big in a sense of recharging if we're going to, you know, lean on our friends for rechargement or lean on them for, feedback, right? We got to make sure that we're getting feedback that we actually want, in a sense. So just meeting people, putting yourself out there and being that type of friend for someone else as well, right? Don't have them calling and it's time for them to recharge and you recharge yours when it was good for you, but now you're busy, too busy for your friends, right? So just being a good friend as well, putting yourself out there as a friend. That's
And
gonna be
asking yourself, how do I show up for people? How do I support
right.
my friends? Am I a
Mhm.
good friend? And it's okay to even ask a friend, am I a good friend?
That is a
Am I
big one right
showing up
there.
for you? Do you need something from me that I'm not giving you? It's okay.
Yes. We ask this in relationships, right? And we should be if we
All
ain't.
relationships.
Right? But we should be asking, what can I do to be a better friend? Am I being there for you? And, even in the sense of just asking our friends, are you okay?
Yes.
Because we want them to lean on us and ask us, are we okay when those times come? Be a good friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely go deeper. Don't surface, not just, oh, are you okay? And then just like let it go. Pay attention to your friends, check on your friends, especially your strong friends, but all of your
Mhm.
friends.
It's and it's gonna be for the one, and I'm leave it alone after this.
Right.
But for the ones who like me, I'd be like, I don't have any friends. And then my husband be like, well, she been asking you to do stuff. They've been asking about this. You can go out there with her. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. Like even in that sense, put yourself out there. You may not be able to go to that activity they invited you, but maybe you invite them to an activity,
Right.
right? Or think of it in a bigger thing. Just because I don't talk to you daily, because we just sometimes can't, it doesn't mean we're not the idea of friends where I can lean on you and you can lean on me.
Right. Definitely. So I hope this helps somebody, right?
Right,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's always our intent. And if once again, if you are new to our channel, please like, subscribe, and share. Alrighty. Take care.